G'day punters, welcome back to another massive edition of All In. This week we will be covering the Doomben 10,000 and South Australian Derby and plenty of other topics. Before we get on to those, big welcome to Dean Watling from the Barrier Attendant. Dino, how are you, mate?
Going well, Gannon. Louis, it's good to be back, boys. Nice little freshen up after a wet autumn. The rain's still coming down, but we're on to different location, different states for some good racing. So going well, and it's nice to be back and talking a bit of banner with you two. Absolutely.
And Dino, mate, before we could get to Louis, mate, let's see what I do in the ice bath, mate. A bit of a game of footy yesterday. Rumours have it you went over for a meat pie. Was it a first try score or a last try score or any time try score? What were we thinking there, mate?
Yeah, Trent Robbo reached out to me, as you two would know. The Chooks have been going horrible at the moment. So just had a little warm-up game on the weekend. Hopefully get a start for the Chooks, maybe Manu's position or something like next couple of weeks. So.
Well, mate, I'll tell you, one of your morning mates gave you a bit of a spray. Reckon you could be in the front row. So we won't touch on that. We'll let that go. Lewis Willoughby, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Dino, Kevin the Guama will get a run before you, son. So back to the training ground you go, mate. No way you're getting into Chooks. We're about to turn around. You watch. But apart from that, no, good to be back, boys. Big episode, as we mentioned. We said we were going to start ripping into the Brisbane Carnival and can't forget SA as well, South Australia. They got a good little program going on down there as well with Group 1 racing. So we'll try and find all the winners.
Outstanding. So, boys, before we get into the Saturday early mail there and we do some huge all-in bets, I think there's something we want to touch on here. We've got a new segment called Turf It. We're basically going to throw out a few topics, discuss them, and see if the boys want to turf it or if they like it. We'll see what happens there. But first, we're going to just catch up. A bit going on in the racing scene, and there's a punter called a $750,000 multi-win. Been a bit of commentary about $750,000, enough to retire, please. You're not living in Sydney. And then a few blokes potting him saying, geez, how much has he got left? He's had a bit of a bad run of late. Boys, give us your thoughts. Good for racing. What are your thoughts, Dino? Start with you.
I love it. I love that it's probably a punter that no one really sort of took notice of, just a battler like we all sort of started out as. And he's probably done something that myself, Gannon, you and Louis will probably never ever do. So all props to him. Good on him. Spend it how you want. Do what you want with it. You've deserved it. And good on him.
A $750,000 win. Dean, I thought you called that a Monday.
A loss.
No, I'm with Dean. I think it's great. I mean, good on him. He been posting his selections for ages prior to this. And, yeah, I thought it was good. I just hope he doesn't rinse it all. I don't think he will. He's a smart man. He was on A Current Affair and all that kind of stuff. It's a real feel-good story, I think. And I just hope that people on Twitter, especially people that are starting to, follow him intensely now, and he's made it very clear as well. This is not a dig at him, but it's like, $750,000 multi-wins aren't going to happen every 2 seconds. So you're going to go through losing streaks. And so I hope people just, don't start piling in going, oh, why aren't you winning, this money anymore and yada, yada. And that can be a Twitter thing as well, as we all know. It can be a bit of a cesspit at times.
Oh, can't it ever. And I tell you what, boys, I think it's fantastic. Great story. Well done. Huge win. But fair income. The bookies are laughing because I reckon he's picked up another 5,000-6,000 followers. He's posting all these multis now and they're just piling in. And no doubt he's probably only jagged a couple since. And the bookies have probably got all 750,000 and probably 10 times more. So good for the punt, good for the game, good for the bookies, and good for Nick, who's put off the huge multi and just hold on to some of that time. Give it to the missus. Don't do it all. Righto, Louis. Now, before we move into the all-in segment where we're going to touch on the Doomben 10,000, mate, some news just in. Hot off the press, there's a huge chance the meeting will move to Eagle Farm. An absolute, what do we got? 200 mils potentially predicted. So monsoon-like conditions. So we might be going to Eagle Farm, but I think we'll be racing over to you, mate.
It's different state, same story, isn't it? Just the rain continues. Hopefully they can get through it at Doomben. If it has to go to Eagle Farm, then so be it. I remember back in 2020, not because of the rain, but because of coronavirus, they canned the whole Winter Carnival in Brisbane. So, yeah, we really need to get through this one. We did have it back last year. It was a raging success. So let's go again for 2022. Let's start with this tab Doomben 10,000 market. Marzu's the $2.50 favourite. Andermatt is at $8 with Kementari. Counter-Rupee at $9 with Entriviere and Isotope. They're all at $9. First double figures Generation 11. And Paul Laley is a $15 chance now in terms of this Doomben 10,000. 1,200 metres weight for age, 3-year-olds and up. Eduardo took it out last year. 2020, we know it was cancelled. The Bostonian, English, Red Zell and Music Magnate, all previous winners in the past 6 years. I can tell you that of the past 6 years, obviously only 5 editions of the race, and 3 of them have been 4th up. 1 of them was 3rd up. Only the Bostonian won this race 1st up. So I guess if you are starting to profile it, you're probably looking for a horse that's got a bit of fitness on its side. Eduardo won the TJ Smith coming into this race last year. And in fact, that is also the case for, a few others down the page. So TJ Smith, a good form line, and that's the kind of profile we're looking for. Back to you, Dino. Who's your tip 10,000?
Yeah, interesting note that Gannon just mentioned the track change potentially. I think most punters like myself and Gannon, if it's going to be a wet deck, Doomben 10,000, I think we're all going to be chips in Marzu, but with that track change, potentially a dry surface, I think it blows this race wide open, and I'll be waiting on the price of Marzu there. The only query for mine for that horse is he's been beating up small fields where he's been able to sort of sit handy in the best position. He won't get that Saturday. He's going to have a big field, a lot of horses around him. So for mine, it's a sit and wait for the favourite. Outside of that, Counter-Ruping's flying at the moment. I think if we get to change to Eagle Farm and it's a drying track, I think that horse is going to go another level back to 12,000 metres query, but it's a hard race to dive into early, so I might sit on the fence here early on. Gannon?
Boys, I thought Marzu's $3 was just one of the greatest bets you'll ever see. I think it's a good horse, and it's much better than Country. If we get a heavy track, if we get a heavy 9 or a heavy 10, it just wins. $2.50. Now, so you can probably just wait until fields come out now. I can't imagine it's going to be any shorter on Wednesday. But for mine, it'll be winning. Geez, Counter Repeat is good for us the other day. Thank you very much. Trumpet, if you don't mind. I'll tell you what, though, I sent the boys a message last night. I said, Shelby 66, boys, lining up again. $13 a place. Had to have something, a little something there. If it's a heavy 10 and they do happen to go at Doomben, I think Jockey's booked as well. Still around the $9 mark the place. For mine, just wants it absolute bottomless. Doesn't matter how bad it's going at the moment. Gets the bottomless track and can run a hole. And I think Dino suggested that if it did line up and it was a heavy 9 or heavy 10, it would probably start second favourite.
Yeah, definitely start close to. Like, we saw the best runs in the autumn were those bottomless tracks, and since then it's obviously dropped off in form, and that's purely back on dry surfaces. So that's the common denominator for
it'll be a 7-day turnaround as well. Watch out.
Well, a good tip once. Tony Brassel once said to me that he was a huge believer in the 7-day backup. I think he even ran stats on it once that said horses on a 7-day backup more often than not, and this is paraphrasing here, he did have an actual stat for it, but it was something of more often than not, often quite high, run very, very well if they're on the 7-day backup. So that's something to take into account. I'm with Dino. I'm staying out of this early doors with the 300 litres of rain that's going to pour on Doomben Racecourse, probably more. I don't know, never much good at maths, but it's going to be very wet. If it moves to Eagle Farm again, it changes the whole thing. At $2.50 the favourite, I get you, Gannon, probably $3, yes, but $2.50 leave me out, and the rest of them at those prices, no. I'd like to see Counter-Rupee win just for the fact that they're keeping Brock Ryan on. It'd be good to see him jagger a Doomben 10,000. I mean, that's a good story when a horse starts to go really well and creep up into the Group 1 levels, and they have faith in the jockey that's been all the way through, even if he isn't a top line rider. So that's a little good story, but otherwise that market at the moment, leave me out. We'll move to the second of the Group 1s this weekend. We head down to Morphettville, where the running of the South Australian Derby is on, and tab favourite is Allegron, and it's $3. Detonator Jack at $4. Harley Movin' is $8. Jungle Magnate at $9. Yaffet is $11, and then you got Commander Harry and Elzami as well as the nephew, all at $18. 26 and longer for the rest. Gano, did you have any thoughts on the SA Derby?
For mine, I thought it was pretty easy. I thought Allegron, even though it is going, the St. Ledger 28 back to 2,500. Clearly the best horse in the race for mine. I think Oliver Sticks. Whether or not $3 is a betting proposition, I don't know. I won't be betting, but for mine, Allegron.
Yeah, I'll follow you in, Gannon. I think $3.60. Last start was quite bizarre. I think half of Twitter blew up with the ride of the century. I dead set put it down to the horse. So he had the
Yes, best horse in the race by a mile.
I think a 3-year-old could have probably steered that to the line. It was going that well. So I dropped back to 2,500, no concern. The stable, obviously one of the best in Australia. I think it's just different gravy. Staying races, though, they always catch you out. So for mine, $3.60, probably around its right price, and I think it wins.
Let me just jump in here, Louis. Let me just, bit of a drum roll, bit of introduction here. So Lewis Willoughby, South Australian form expert, Melbourne form expert, bit of a guru. Undercover, of course, he's obviously the presenter of Sky Racing and has many hats. Your time to shine is now, Lewis Willoughby.
Yeah, Detonator Jack with me, and I'm very, very keen. Wouldn't touch a legger at $3, to be fair. I think it's Detonator Jack's race. I think he's a horse on the up in the right stable for this race. Kieran Murray and David Eustace won it last year with Explosive Jack. A bit of omenry there. I don't know. You tell me. This horse is flying. He's a freak. He bolted in over 2,100 metres at Sandown on the lakeside last time out, beaten by a length and a half. If you go through the figures of all his 3 runs and all his 3 wins, he's undefeated. The figures that he's running are huge. I love that they're taking him down to SA. I haven't looked at who the jockey bookings are, but John Allen's been riding him through this preparation, and I wouldn't expect that to change. I'd say that John Allen would take the ride. I'm serious chips in on Detonator Jack. I'm very, very keen that he wins the SA Derby this year for sure. I think has that a bit of upside about him, and that's not to say that Allegron doesn't, but 3 starts, 3 wins is just a different profile to Allegron, who's already been towards the top level of racing. And I think $3 is poison, personally. Detonator Jack for me.
There you go, Dino. Well, I reckon the best way to just stand down and cop Louis too there.
I think a case bet might be brewing on that, Louis.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, case bet. I'm happy for a case bet. Who finishes in front of who?
Love it. We're on.
Because that means if none of them wins, we don't all get out of it. Someone owes someone a case here.
So a match race is what you're asking?
Match race. I want a match race.
Lovely.
Beautiful. Is that 2 cases, Louis?
Yeah, that'll do.
Beauty, up you go. And Dino, you got another one for the punters, mate?
Yeah, again, I'll quickly touch on the Scone meeting, the Dark Jewel, over 1,400 metres, Mare Fresh, who is scintillating, Legay Soleil. Her peak figures and everything is 1,400 metres first up. She's 4 from 5 first up. We'll love the big straight at Scone. It's a little bit of shower. Soft range won't hurt her. Around that $11 mark, she is a great bet in the Dark Jewel. And I'll touch on one in the Woodlands, the 2-year-old race as well. Not 100% this horse is going there, but if it does, I'll be having something on from the Chris Lee stable, who's flying a Lucky Variety. Write that horse's name down. Very, very smart 2-year-old in the rustic steel kind of colours, Gannon. So a couple there for Scone.
Love it. And I'll tell you what, boys, we'll just quickly wrap up before we move into Turf It. And we're going to just give the punters our best all-in play. I'll open the batting and I go Doomben 10,000 Marzu.
Beautiful. I'll jump in here. I want to say Detonator Jack. Yes, definitely at $4. I want to throw one in at Scone in the Scone Cup. It's Dr. Drill. He's an $8 equal favourite. There's about 100 horses at $8 equal favourite. This Dr. Drill should have won the Group 3 running behind Ayrton. It was $101 in that Victoria handicap. It was the most unlucky run you've ever seen. Go back to last prep and similar thing happened. Came first up in that same race, the Group 3 big handicap. Went on next start to go to Adelaide and run really well. They've had it in at Scone, which I thought they'd take it to Adelaide. It's here at Scone. Dr. Drill, $8 Scone Cup. Yep, that's for me.
Love that.
I love it. It's good to see Louis up and about. Just have to hopefully follow through on Saturday. My best all-in play for the weekend, it comes up in Scone Dark Jewel, Legay Soleil, $11. Put in, take out job. Lovely.
Wow.
Fair enough. All right, let's do it. Let's go to Turf It. This is good because there's some really hot topics that we've either had going or just a touch missed since we've been off air. Now that we're back on here, we can touch on them. We've mentioned Shelby 66, so let's fly through this one real quick. Are they going one too many times if they back up in Brisbane?
I don't think so. I think it's the right track for the horse. I think that's the key to the horse, how it's going outside of that. It has put up twice lame in this last 4 runs. That's my only concern, but I'm not a trainer, so no comment for mine. I think place it on the wet tracks and it'll run well. Gannon?
Yeah, I can't imagine Danny Williams is going to send his horses around if there's a concern for injury. So trust in the trainer, and if the track is bottomless, send it around. If not, don't. Real simple.
I was having a look at Riser the other day to see how many listed trainers there were in New South Wales and, in fact, the country. And then I looked how many they think they are on Twitter, and the numbers weren't adding up. So I'm not real sure what's going on. Of course, the trainer knows what's best for the horse. Stay out of it, everyone trying to go if he is running not too many times or too many times. Danny Williams has got more idea training horses than us three combined, plus the rest of them. So leave it to Danny. If it's fit, if it's well, and if he strikes a wet track, which he knows he goes well on, then let it go around. Absolutely no problems with it for mine. Units when tipping. This is another one you see on there. People tipping half a unit, 500 units for the same bet. What's going on? I'm going to come to you, Dino, of course, first here, because you probably are the expert out of all of this, out of all of us with this, running your own tipping service. So maybe explain to us what a unit is, first of all.
Yeah, Louis. So a unit is just a way for a punter or someone selling tips or providing tips to get a universal unit of money, you could say. So obviously when you have a range of different punters who have different size bettings, $10, $1,000, $10,000 like Gannon does, you can sort of give them the same amount to put on each horse. So it's just a universal currency, if you could say, for how much punters put on each horse. And there's a couple of different ways you can do it, but I really like the 1 to 3 system. I use that with mine. I think it's very good in the sense that it's short, sharp. There's no complications to it. You know the difference between 1, 2, and 3. And then the backhand of that, it can reflect the different types of betting. So you can obviously bet with units. You can bet out of a bank. The 1 unit turns to 1%, 2 unit turns to 2%, and 3 units turns to 3%. So as long as the punter or whoever's selling the tips explains it and gives a good definition, I think it's a fair play. But for mine, it should be 1 to 3 or 1 to 5, and it should have a universal system. That's just my opinion. Fair play to them if you want to do 1,000, 10,000, but give an explanation. It should be right there for punters to follow. If you want trying to gain an audience, come on, Gannon.
Yeah, it's just my bugbear, and it really shouldn't be, because quite frankly, I couldn't really care less. But you see these blokes come on and they give it the other. Lost 35 units out yesterday, had 125 units the next day, mate. Talk me through that. 125 units, that's 125% of your bank, mate. You had nothing left. You only had 65% of your bank left from the day one. Like, is not only cannot have unlimited units, guys. Pull your heads in, sort yourselves out. All right, 1 unit, 1% of your bank, lift. It is not that hard. Anyway, there you go. Sorry, Louis, just kills me.
Oh, that's good. I like it. I like you both up and about it. That hopefully that provides people out there with some clarity, because units is a weirdly contested thing. People have so many ideas about what it should be, but take it from the 2 people on the other side of this camera talking. Don't take it from me. Take it from them.
Or just Google it. If you Googled units betting, sports betting, or race betting, it'll in the first 25 Google searches, it'll say this unit is a percentage of bank. Anyway, there we go.
I wish you could Google how to back a winner as well. That'd help me out. Punters Clubs. Let's talk about Punters Clubs. Of course, one company does it through the Warrnambool Carnival, and other heaps of other betting companies have done it, and boys get around a Punters Club. I don't mind a Punters Club with the boys, like if you're at the pub, throw a bit into the kitty on the middle of the table and have a crack. But giving money to maybe people you don't know, what do we think, Dino?
I think the golden rule and the whole reason all of us and our mates do Punters Club is for fun. So with the instance of Punters Club, I think the main thing should be fun. It's not a long-term game. It's not a system. It's not who's the smartest, who can price. I think the whole point of it's engagement, back what you think is going to win. I think all rules in punting sort of do go out the window, and you're trying to make a profit in 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. So just have fun. I think it's all about engagement, creating that little community feel. So I think if you're going to do it, back winners, have fun. I don't mind them. If you sign up to them, I think you sort of know what you're going to sign up for. But I'm all for them. Like yourselves, we probably all have little Punters Clubs with our mates, save up for triple A's. I think they're probably a backbone of the betting industry. Gannon?
Oh, without a doubt. I reckon the Punters Clubs are fantastic. I know the boys do a little birdie. I've got no idea who any of them are. Nothing to do with any of them at all. My one sort of bugbear with it, if you're going to start with 80, don't give 40,000 back. Just either just lose it all. Like, we know we're out there. If you're giving up $50 to join that punters club, you don't want $25 back, right? You're going there to have a bit of fun. You guys are pro punters. You know what you're doing. You're doing your thing. Quite frankly, if I chucked in 50, I don't want my $25 back. I don't care what the deal is with, people buying up. They're getting affiliate deals from Top Sport. Good luck to them. Up you go. Well done. If that's what they do, that's what they do. But if you're gonna go out there and have a crack, if you're having a punters club, and I'm having a punters club, we're gonna bucks party different 10,000 lads. We've got a bit of leftover cash. We're trying to run a bit of a punters club. There is absolutely no chance we'll be leaving a single cent on the table. If we come to last and we've got 40,000 all in,
try and get it on. Yeah. Or if not, straight to the pokies. Try again.
No, but I love the concept. I think it's great. It's great to get people into the game. Absolutely.
Yeah, good. I agree. Country Carnivals. Should we have more feature race meetings in the country? I've just been to Wagga. Now we've got Scone coming up. Of course, we had Gosford on the weekend. Not technically provincial, but you know what I mean. Getting feature racing away from Randwick and Rose Hill. Country Carnivals, yes or no? Dino?
Yes, for sure. And I think the biggest attraction is they're not just one day. They're 2 days, 3 days. You can make a weekend out of it. And most of them these days are tied in with a NRL match out in the footy. So it's perfect boys' weekend away. And I just think they're brilliant. I'm not sure why they're so attractive. I think it's just the getting away, the travel out with mates, probably people you don't see often. And beers, punting, footy, racing, they go very well together.
Without a doubt, I think you hit the nail on the head there. The more NRL, obviously AFL in Melbourne and NRL and AFL in Brisbane, Queensland can get together and you can sort of bring these events together for the community. I think they're fantastic. I think there's nothing better than seeing 10,000, people out at Mudgee watching the footy, having 20,000 at the races, backing up. I think it's fantastic. I think the more sporting organisations can get together, we can all go do our ass on a weekend 3 or 4 times a year and have a fantastic time of it. And from the barrage of text messages that was coming from one L Willoughby, I think he was having a fun time of it.
Yeah, my liver wish it was only 1 day, but yeah, most of them are 2 and 3 days, which is good. And apart from the the spectator, like our side of it, the country racing, it's going gangbusters in New South Wales. You've got tab highways, you've got tab federals, you've got Kosciuszkos, you've got country championships. Now you've got the big dance where all the country cups horses can come to Randwick and race for insane prize money. So not only is it thriving on the other side of the fence with the spectators and the punting and off the track in the towns, but on the track it's thriving as well because it's just going so well at the moment, especially in New South Wales. Country racing is flying. So yeah, huge tick from me. More country carnivals should be on the cards. Now, this one is seriously related to the Walker Carnival, at least in terms of my pocket. Dry spells on the punt. How do we get into them and how do we get out of them? Dino?
I think the first thing is just accepting in your mind that they're going to come. You can't avoid them as much as you avoid them. You'll probably put yourself into a bigger hole. They're very, very taxing on your mind. But I think the biggest thing is to have a system, have good punters and good mates around you. Stick to your rules and don't get gun shy. I think that's the one thing I've learnt the most is through dry spells, you can really seize up and not pull the trigger and go away from your normal betting. And then when it's time to make that profit and make all that money back and go on, you sit back and you don't hit go. So for mine, stick to your systems, have good people around you who are backing you up and you'll be fine. Gannon?
Without a doubt, nothing wrong with a Gusgold spray. We all need a bit of a touch-up every now and then, and Dino's received quite a few over the last few months. But I couldn't agree with you more there, Dino. I think for mine, just purely me, my biggest dry spells have come off the back of my most successful months. And that's simply because I've been going that well. You try and start to look for winners because it's easy, right? Like, this is easy. I'm finding winners. Oh, let's go find more. And every time I've had a dry spell, it has been off the back of a good run, not so much because I've fallen away from my systems, not been as tight, being a bit looser than what I would be when I was going through those good periods, just simply because I'm sick and I love it. But having those good people around you is everything. And, a good mate and guy on Twitter, Chris Winters, chimed in, I think in about January, he's shot me a text and he's like, how's it all going, mate? Because he obviously saw I was going like a bastard. And we had a great chat. And once again, goes to what Dino says in regards to having good people around you and just go back to how you do your business, shape up, keep smart. Take a deep dive, understand how you found your winners, reverse engineer it, and then go back to that. I think it's probably the number one way. Obviously, probably first and foremost to avoid a dry spell, stick to it. And no matter how good you're going, you're not far off a losing day.
That's 100% right. One of my favourite quotes that I've used for ages: if you've had a losing day, they are always racing again tomorrow. They're always on again tomorrow. You can wake up and try again. Rightio, that was Turf It. 5 really good topics that we got through there on the round table. If you've got any suggestions as well, by the way, for stuff you want us to talk about and discuss here on the show, please do let us know in the comments.
Super stuff. All right, boys, we're going to head to Wednesday Best Bets, but that'll be a different program. So thanks for your time. And we will be back next week. We'll have a guest on next week. Bit of a surprise. We'll see who takes the bait there. And wish me luck for the Doomben 10,000. If you're up there, punters, you want a beer, Damo's coming up. I've already promised everyone on the tipster show that Damo's going to get the corporate card out. So hit him up, carve him up, get him buy a couple of 4Xs, and we'll have a bit of a banter and see if you can steer us into a few winners. Thanks, boys.
Cheers.
Thanks.